DMJ Today with your hosts, Davin, Marcus, and Jared. It was in the moment. It was like, go for it. What's happening, fam? Welcome back to DMJ Today with your hosts, Davin, Marcus, and myself, Jared. What's happening, fam? How's you guys' weeks? How you been?
That literally sounded exactly like the intro video.
Dude, on the real, my week has been pretty bad. My neck has been terrible, bruh. This past couple days. Oh yeah.
What you been up to, bro?
Nothing.
Yeah,
Literally
why?
doing nothing. I almost slept through my exam. The one I was telling you about, right? Like on Wednesday. Dude, I literally almost slept through. I woke up with my laptop on my on my lap. And it was like an hour into the exam. It was a 3-hour paper. I was like, geez. It was all multiple choice though, so I could do it in time. I was ran out of time. It was horrible.
Shit. How you been, Marcus?
Good. I also have, my hip has been sore on my neck. Well, my neck is always sore, but my hip this week has been acting up.
Do you have chronic neck pain?
I do.
Or legitimately?
No, not legit. I don't know. I injured my neck.
Diagnosed.
And it's just never been fine after that.
Dude, I've got the typical colored boy injury with my knee. Literally, yeah, I've got the typical colored boy. Dude, it always happens. I don't know what colored boys are like. What's the deal with that? But that happens.
Wow. Soccer, fam. Soccer, probably. You play soccer?
No, I don't play soccer. I play rugby.
You don't play soccer?
No.
Bro.
I played it for fun. If there was a five-a-side tournament, yeah. If there was a five-a-side tournament, then I'll play with my mates. Or I'll play. If I played in grade 11, I played for the prefect team.
Oh yeah.
So I'll just play whatever for fun.
Okay.
Really. I don't play it for school.
Okay, guys. I think let's get into the podcast. So basically, there's a trigger warning. Basically, we're not talking about violence in South Africa, and so basically we're talking about people getting evicted in South Africa by the police, and it's been really bad. I just want to give you a quick scenario that I wrote down. Not a scenario, but one thing that happened. I'm reading according to the Cape Times, right? So basically, this is what it says, and I quote: "Officers on Wednesday manhandled. I'm not going to say the name, but manhandled. Let's say guy, manhandled a guy while he was naked. As they tried to demolish his shack, he had been bathing. At the time, they stormed his house. The incident was caught on video, which shows the officers forcefully pushing him and dragging him from his shack in front of many other residents." So that's basically one incident that did happen in South Africa, and that was caught on camera. What are you guys' thoughts on that? And have you guys seen the video?
What well, I told you guys just now, I didn't even hear about what was happening in Cape Town. I live here. It's really terrible. I didn't watch the video, but I saw that there was a video. When I was going through it, I saw there was a video. I didn't watch it. I didn't want to. I don't like those videos, those type of videos. So I don't want to watch it.
Yeah. So basically, what is happening for people who are not on the same page is that people are being forcibly removed from their homes, and this is mostly people who live in informal settlements, in shacks, in impoverished environments. But this is happening in the middle of winter, in the middle of a lockdown, which is inhumane to a whole nother level. And the thing about eviction,
basically a death sentence.
Literally. So the thing about eviction is normally you can't be evicted by the government without the government making provision for you to have shelter or a home elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, eviction requires a court order. So the police can't just show up somewhere and be like, you're not allowed to live here.
So basically, they can't force you to be homeless.
Yeah. There has to be a court order. You have to be given notice. There's a lot of legal aspects to it. You can't just be kicked out of your house one day, even if you are an illegal occupant.
Yeah.
I put that in inverted commas because there's also the spatial injustice of apartheid that is a causing factor of the illegal occupation. But the thing about
I like your air quotes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Emphasis.
So people on the pod listening to the podcast, you can't see the air quotes, but Mark is just doing
There's
there was air quotes on certain words.
So the thing that is happening now during lockdown is that at the beginning of lockdown, there was a court order that demanded that all evictions be stopped, right? Which means that the people, even in level 3, is not allowed to evict people from their homes because of lockdown, because of coronavirus. It actually prescribes that evictions can take place in level 2 again, but as we are all knowing, we are not on level 2 yet. We're still on level 3. And this is not the incident that Jared mentioned is not the first one. It has happened in various areas in Cape Town and across South Africa.
Which is especially worse because of Western Cape having like the highest amount of cases. So throwing someone out in Cape Town is ridiculous. Extremely bad. Yeah. It's really bad. You're basically giving them corona.
Yeah.
The virus.
Yeah.
My thing is why now? Like why? Like, are you evicting people now during this time? You know that there's a pandemic. You know people can't afford to whether like go rent to get a new place to stay or find a new place. And how are they gonna build another home if they're building another home, another shack somewhere else? How are they gonna do that when if they do, you're gonna break it down more? So where do you expect these people to go? That's my question.
But I
not even like Karen Marcus, sorry.
The nature of eviction that we were talking about, it's not like I live somewhere and I can't afford to pay my rent, because even landlords are reasonable, they're understandable, they're like extending payments, whatever. This is specifically the government, the state, evicting like people who live in informal settlements, knowing that I'm in a position to have a home elsewhere, or that it's not that they just can't pay rent, is that they don't have a home. That's why they're living in shacks. That's why they live wherever they live, because they don't have access to proper housing. And it's the point actually removing those people from their housing. It's not actually happening to the everyday middle class person who just can't afford to pay rent now.
Jared, on your point where you said like why is it happening now, it's like not even why are people being evicted now, but like why is it going to the level of violence to remove these people? Even like why is that happening?
I think it's just unlawful, like generally, if we're looking at it outside of the lockdown period, the state is going to say that they gave warnings, and they're going to argue on the basis of these people are occupying unlawfully on state-owned land, or whatever other point they would like to bring across, which can be justified in a court of law. That's the points that they will argue, and that's what they will win on, because it is technically valid. But like, it's valid if you don't regard like humanity. Okay, so if you're just thinking as a robot who has rules to follow, then valid, great stuff. But if you're a human being who has empathy, even like any degree of empathy or moral inclination, then you would understand that that's actually just not okay. So they're doing it on the grounds of people are existing and living, they're occupying land unlawfully, which, I mean, if we're going to sip tea, has been done in the past by another group of people who
unmentioned.
But I mean, we are here today. And I think
even on your point, like you were saying all of that without lockdown, but under lockdown they shouldn't be evictions anyway.
And it should never be to the point of violence either way. I think the only reason that there was, how would I say, like a violent resistance in the case that Jared mentioned, was because the man was literally like in the bath.
Completely
one
naked.
thing to like evict someone, and it's another thing to rip someone out of their bath naked and throw them on the street. Like, dude,
like to embarrass them.
At least, like, if you're gonna
have some decency.
Like I have tea. You guys ready for this? You guys have your tea ready?
I got tea ready.
But you have it, okay.
I've got coffee.
When I read this,
I didn't get the memo.
Okay. When I read this, I was like, yo, bro, this is mad. Okay, ready? You ready, guys? Okay, so the mayor of Cape Town, right, spoke to the ENCA and accused the guy that got dragged naked, of tactically undressing himself before the law enforcement officers approached his informal
tactically. Do you think he did it? Do you think he did it to become more slippery, or the boss like lubricated him?
Your mind?
What, dude? I'm trying to think, like, how did they try and reason it? So, like, because they said tactically, so it means it must have been
It was strategic. It was like pre-planned.
Yeah.
So let's just
so
walk
he
through
must
this. Let's
have
walk through this accusation. Okay.
undressed himself. Yeah,
This
undressed
dude,
himself.
he must have heard a rumor that the police were coming to evict him.
Yeah.
And then when the police got there, he put on water in the bath. And then he was like, wait, before you do anything, let me undress. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get naked.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna like throw me out, and then I'm gonna like fight you back to get into my house to like spare my dignity. But then you're gonna, like, literally force me to the ground. Okay, cool. So that
Dude,
was
it was a fighting style, dude. He was trying to lubricate himself so that he would have a chance.
I needed like someone must make it make sense to me. Make it.
It doesn't make sense. You can't make nothing make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The
thing is for me, like, let's say he did. I'm doing air quotes for all you guys. Let's say he did do it on purpose. It still gives you no reason to take someone out of their house naked. Make sure the guy like is fully clothed or he has something. At least he has underwear on. At least minimum have underwear on before you take him out of the house in front of like 50 people. I think I was just outside, maybe more. I'm just saying. But I mean, like, it's mad. Like,
but I mean, it is the government, so they're going to try and get rid of as much bad publicity as they can. Because I mean, bad publicity equals no vote. So they're going to have to do something to try and cover it up or try and justify what they did.
But I think more than like avoiding bad publicity, they should just like acknowledge it. And take it. So I read something. The city of Cape Town released a media statement saying that they are suspending the police officers who actually did this. But to me, I'm like, that's just trying to gaslight us, because at the end of the day, individual police officers are only carrying out orders. They are only maintaining and sustaining a system that has been put in place. So
they wouldn't just evict people for no reason. They wouldn't they wouldn't just be like, why would I want more work?
Exactly.
I have to go and evict this guy.
Exactly.
Because it makes sense. They would just do it.
Yeah, I think the government is like trying to do this to gaslight us because they think that we're mad at the officers, but we're really not. We are mad at the system that ruled the officers' actions, that said it's okay for you to go evict a man while he's naked in the middle of winter and a pandemic. Like that is the thing that we are not happy with. That is a thing that we are challenging. It's not the actual individual officers. So dismissing, even firing, or even like prosecuting if they want to go that far, these officers is actually just trying to gaslight us to think that it's like, to think that they're addressing their own faults. Whereas instead of avoiding bad publicity, they should actually just say, that was wrong of us. This is what we're doing to make it better. We are changing this, we're changing this, we're changing this. We're making sure that our officers are aware of the court order and are doing this and this and this. They shouldn't just try and like cover their mess. They should just address it.
It's kind of like they're trying to make those guys take the fall for their order. And now once it blows over, they'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
Hopefully without the camera this time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I read somewhere that one of the reasons that they are evicting people in general is for the cause of gentrification. So gentrification is the idea of, I don't know how to put it into words, making an area better looking. Okay, so it's making an area better looking. It's making it newer,
more aesthetically pleasing.
More aesthetically pleasing. Here we go. It must align with the
brand.
That
from technology, grade 9.
Come on. So it needs to be more aesthetically pleasing. It must align with the brand that the government is going with. But my question, right? I have a question. Why does and who decided that gentrification equates to making more people homeless instead of building people nicer homes?
Yeah.
I was going to ask,
out of their homes instead of actually just giving them a nicer place to live. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was going to ask on your point of, once they remove the people, what do they do with that land? Do they just leave it there, or do they?
I know for this land. I read where they evicted the guy that was naked. They basically want to get rid of all the shacks that are there, and they want to build more services for the community. Now, how does make it make sense? Make it make sense, because
I can understand on that point. I can understand on that point why they would be removing people to like build more like houses or services or whatever.
No, it's services.
But I mean, you're making services then, but you're making the people who need these services homeless. To give them services. So it's like, I have nowhere to live, but I have water. So
Yeah.
what's the point?
It's the irony of buying petrol, but you don't have a car. You're getting rid of the car, but you're buying petrol with the same money. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't do that. The community isn't there. So why would you build services for the community? It makes no sense.
I would understand more if it's housing. If they're saying, okay, we're gonna break down your shacks, but we're gonna give you housing, I could understand it better. But I mean, you're still leaving people homeless for that time to build the houses. So it's kind of like, unless you're giving them temporary homes while you build it, it's like, what's the point of evicting people then?
Yeah. I actually saw that the Human Settlements Minister, Lindiwe Sisulu, is actually taking the city of Cape Town to court, or she's willing to take the city of Cape Town to court for their actions, which I think is pretty dope. I think that's awesome. That cool. There should be challenge from within government, because I feel that sometimes people who work for the state are afraid to challenge the state because they could lose their job, because the state could turn around and say, even though that shouldn't be the case in a democratic society, the state could turn around and say, look at you, you're not supporting the organization that you're working for, so you're going to lose your job. And I love that she is using her power actually to bring justice. But in the same way,
it's like very high risk, high reward. Like they either pull it off and they get some justice for the people who are evicted, or they lose their job, they lose everything.
But in the
very tricky.
In the same breath, right? I feel like historically, South African state officials have had a history of making promises and saying things and committing to even court cases, but then nothing actually changes. So I think that it's awesome that she is going to court, and I think she's going to court because a lot of the people, like the population, are angry about this. So she has the support of the population in doing this. But I think that at the end, there's a possibility that it could just be another court case that someone wins and no change is actually made.
Happen. I don't know. I think the best thing to do is win the court case, hopefully, and then keep on pressing them on it until we see changes. Else we're just gonna get the story happens, someone gets cancelled, or someone something happens, and then it's forgotten about again.
The next year we're in the same situation.
Same situation, and then we're busy talking about this chat, like, oh, we said if nothing happens.
Basically.
So guys, I have a question for you guys. I don't stay in Cape Town. Davin and Mark stay in Cape Town. So basically in Cape Town, there's like the high Cape Town, and then there's the low Cape Town, right? Am I right? Like I know
there's like
class wise, or just there is.
I mean class wise, I think you get like American LA vibes, and then you have like the rural settlements and stuff. Do you think that like the government now they're trying to what do you think they're trying? I know they're trying to get the whole. I think they're trying to get the whole Cape Town there, but I think they're going at it at the wrong manner.
You can definitely see from like town outwards, it's better looking. It is mostly once you get further away from town that it starts looking like poorer, I guess. So it looks like they're trying to what's the word? Gentrify. Would that be the correct one? They're trying to gentrify from town out. It's definitely not the best way to go about it. It's never the best way to go about it in any situation. But you can definitely see that they're trying to do something about that to make it look better. I don't know what the correct way to do about it is. Maybe just evict them, but give them temporary housing, I think would be the best way.
I think the best way is to provide housing before evicting them. So don't just like...
But if you have to do it on the same land, then you need to remove houses anyway.
But I think the states...
If it's on different land, then
state land. So they're on land that is not meant for housing. It's meant for other state use or whatever. Like Jared said, it could be services. But a lot of the evictions are on the premise that they're unlawfully occupying state-owned land. So then...
Which would be true not under lockdown.
Yeah, which is fine. And not like... But at the end of the day, if you're going to evict people, like the law requires that you create and provide other housing for them. So I think what the state's approach is that we're working on providing housing, but in the meantime, we're going to evict people And I think that that's messed up. There should be a provision of land, of housing first, and then say, okay, cool, we're not evicting you. You have an
they got it the other way around.
Yeah.
But
then also a lot of like relocation policies are like unreasonable because they relocate people so far or like into remote places that it's actually just better for them to stay in a shack, you know.
do you think it would be better if they try and get housing more into those remote areas with services, or do you think it's better if they try and get them temporary housing here and then house them later here?
I think the issue with those remote areas is that all economic opportunities are centered in the center of the city, which is town mostly, right? And there are other hotspots around South Africa or Cape Town, even if we're speaking about Cape Town, but the majority of economic opportunity is in the center of town. So if you relocate people 2 hours away from town, it's not so much about housing or access to services, it's about economic opportunity. Because now these people are expected to, even if transport is provided by train or whatever, they're expected to travel 2 hours to work, 2 hours home from work. That's 4 hours of travel every day.
So it's really like, we're going to put you in better housing, but you can't get any better than this.
Yeah, like your standard of
you kind of just have to live here.
Increasing. Because while you have a nicer house, now you are very inconvenienced with transport, or you might not even be able to get a job because people aren't necessarily willing to hire you knowing that you have to travel 2 hours. So until there's a
liability to the business.
Build new cities, and this is actually what Uncle Cyril spoke about in one of his sonas. He spoke about building new cities, whereas it's not just relocating people in terms of housing, but actually creating platforms for economic development in those places, so that it's actually a new economic center, which I think is a great idea. And obviously, that's not going to be like over a few months thing. That's going to take years.
It's not short term
to develop that. But I think in the meantime, they should be better or should be smarter when it comes to relocation.
I know it's going to be very difficult to get like a full on city going or small town area going. Because it all starts with like the small businesses. You need to first get the small businesses up there, and that builds into a bigger town or a bigger city. So the problem is you need to first get those small businesses in, and I think that's going to take the longest.
A lot of bigger businesses don't want to open branches there because there is no other activity there. So none of their clients are there. None of their and
maybe they feel it's unsafe or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it all comes
down. It's a really difficult situation.
I think it all comes down to employment, because if people get better jobs, then obviously they can work their way out of the rural settlements. So I think the government should more on the lines of more employment and better housing. I think that way it'll basically shift up.
But the thing is, like, employment is also linked into services, because another reason, because if you go for an interview, for instance, and the employer is interviewing you, he doesn't have to tell you why he rejects you. So it could be for like a simple thing, like let's say you don't have a shower at your shack or whatever because you don't smell nice. He can reject you. He doesn't have to tell you why he's rejecting you. So like, I understand your point is like, if we get in better employment, then our people can start moving out of these rural areas. But like, it's not just based off of can they do an interview, like small things. It's based on like, oh, no, I don't have services, I don't have a car to get to the interview. So it's like this whole bunch of things that kind of play against you in when you're trying to get employed.
And at the end of the day, housing is a fundamental human right listed in the Constitution. So it goes beyond services like sports centers or like community centers. Housing is a fundamental human right that the state needs to ensure.
Sorry, on your another thing for employment, you need to have at least a grade 9 certificate to even go for a job interview in most jobs, unless it's like manual labor. And I mean, how many people in rural areas have like a formal education like that? It's very difficult.
100%.
So before we end this, guys, let's just chat about what we can do. because it's awesome to have.
That was literally my next question. That was literally my next question.
Yeah, you guys need to educate me on what I can do because I didn't even know about this.
Are you ready to learn?
Tell me, bro. I'm so ready. Always ready to learn.
Just like side note, this podcast, although it has been very political, like the past 2 episodes, not like our podcast is not one of a political nature, okay? But it is important to talk about these things because at the end of the day, we actually have the ability to change things. Every one of us as individuals have influence, and when we act collectively, we can actually activate change.
Sorry, just quickly on your point of political. We're not political, but we're honest. So if one party fucks up, then we're going to mention it. If another one fucks up, we're going to mention it. If one of them does good, we'll probably mention it as well.
Right. So what we can do with regards to the eviction that's happening in Cape Town and also across South Africa is we can email a lot of people. Okay, so first of all, educate yourself, spread awareness, and then in our description in the video, or if you are listening on the podcast, go check out our YouTube channel. All this in the description, there will be various emails. There will be a link that we found to like a format for an email. That's not ours, but we found it and we're just going to share it. Lots of emails of people in power in the city of Cape Town, in the DA, in the Western Cape, that you could just spam with emails because we actually, as citizens, we have a constitutional right to demand accountability. So we can exercise that or we cannot exercise that. So let's just all be challenged to exercise that by sending emails. And when I say spam, I'm saying spam every day until they are actually like until they change. Important thing, when you are sending emails, don't send the same email. So don't just copy and paste an email and send it, because the server will regard that as spam. So change some sentences in there, change the subject, change a little thing here and there, add some spice, add some flavor, make it your own. But we will post everything in our description, or you can find us on social media. You can DM one of us on social media, which will also be in the YouTube description. Yeah, but if you are listening to the podcast and you don't want to go onto YouTube, my Instagram is Marcus.Parkus, Jared's is Jared Naidu World, and Devin's is Devin.Johnson, I think, or underscore. Devin_Johnson. You can find, like, DM any one of us and we will send you the emails, the links, the templates, all of the things. But yeah, let's just do what we can to actually see change in society.
100%.
Beautiful.
So guys, basically, thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. Make sure you do follow us on our social medias. Also, make sure you follow us on our Twitter, which is DMJ Today. That's basically our group, our podcast Twitter. So make sure you follow us there. You'll get the insights there before we do our podcast and after. So it's been your boys, Davin, Marcus, Jared, and we thank you so much for joining us on DMJ Today.
Please like, subscribe, share on YouTube. It helps us with the algorithm. Thank you very much. And share with your friends on Spotify and iTunes.
Oh yeah, we're on Spotify and iTunes, guys.
Yes,
so
that too.
Follow us there.
We leveled up.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Peace.